Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. We are joined today with Bryce Lightbody, captain of the Australian team, and Jonas Freese of Team Germany. Both captains, both very experienced. So you are here, you are live with us, and we will be with you for the next hour and 15 minutes for Battle of the Nations Total Recall. We will be talking about some of the classic moments that we've all experienced at Battle of the Nations, but this time we're going to be chewing the fat in particular with these two guys. Bryce, it's very, very early or very late, depending on how you look at it. How's it going out there?
It is a little bit early, 0400 at the moment. It's nice and chilly coming into winter. But yeah, things are going not too terribly here.
Good to hear. Good to hear. That's kind of what I've often heard from Australians, with that sort of "she'll be right" attitude from all the fighters. Brilliant. Great to have you with us, and thank you so much for joining us at this ungodly hour. Jonas, likewise, really good to have you with us. How's it going out there?
Quite good. I mean, it's chilled here in Germany. It's getting a bit more loose with the restrictions now. So chilling in the parks, shopping. Now we're looking forward for reopening gyms so that we can finally go back into training. So me and my guys starting on Sunday. So this is now the big goal for us, going on the training in Berlin. We will see. Thanks for the invitation, by the way.
Not at all, not at all. Okay, how about things over there, Bryce? With, of course, I mean, in Australia, trainings must be few and far between, as it is, being such a big country, especially to train as the national team. How has the lockdown in Australia, how has the situation affected team play, team trainings, team practices, and multi-team trainings? Has it been the same as in European countries? Is there anything that sets it apart? What's the situation in Australia?
Yeah, so it's very similar down here to the rest of the world, I guess, at the moment, with pretty much all team training off, all large gatherings turned off. So just this week, we're starting to relax some of the restrictions. So later this morning, I got about 6 of my teammates coming around to a park across the road, so we can start to do at least some outdoor physical training, even if we're not allowed to do any sort of actual combat training at this stage together. And our gyms are closed still probably for another month or so. So we'll see how we go. And it's pretty much the same across the rest of Australia, with guys just training by themselves or just in small groups, depending on which state, because we all have different restrictions.
Yeah. So it's going to be, like you said, it's about a month before things will return back to normal in Australia as far as training goes.
Yeah, at least a month, if not a little bit longer. Depends on how everything goes. It's still very dynamic at this stage, but Australia has it relatively under control.
Okay. And how's the situation in Germany? With the news we're getting from Germany in terms of the coronavirus statistics, things are kind of changing a bit. When do you think the teams will be able to go back to regular training?
It's difficult. Regarding the point, we have like a federation in Germany. All the smaller states can reopen or close however they want. So they decided to make it on their decisions on their own. I think some teams already started slightly outside in the parks or whatsoever. Regarding gyms, it's a bit difficult because even in gyms you have to wear masks and gloves, which is ridiculous, but it is a thing, you know. So we will see. We didn't talk about this yet, to be honest. As I said, my team will start on Sunday with training outside, just pushing some tires and like sprinting, do stuff with a distance, you know, hitting with pole arms and stuff. We will see. There's no big solution yet, so we unfortunately we do not really know. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Sure. Yeah, it's a difficult time for everybody. It's just to sort of ask if there are any slight changes as things seem to be relaxing. Certainly where I am in Lithuania, things are starting to be to get relaxed. However, gyms and training centers are one of the places which is still very much under lockdown, and yeah, there will be for some time, perhaps another month, perhaps more, who knows. But of course, it's difficult without any tournaments. Okay. Anyway, that's enough depressing news. Let's move on to something a little bit more positive. Don't forget, everybody watching the live stream, please send all of your questions. Absolutely no holds barred. You can ask the guys anything you want at all, okay? Get those questions coming and try to get some feedback from these guys. They'll be more than willing to answer all of your questions, even the difficult ones. So go for it. Do not hold back. Already we've got some great comments about how awesome
I just saw
moustache is. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gunjiro. Thank you very much.
To be fair, actually, you are both flying the mustache flag. Actually, you both do a great job with them.
I waited a long time for having a mustache, and now it's time for it.
Okay. So I've just seen that.
When I met Bryce first in 2013, I was so jealous of his beard, so that I took some time to grow it like this. Now finally, here it is. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. I'm just reading it. Such a beard under the gas mask. And it fits quite properly under the gas mask. Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, okay. Let's go straight into your first experiences with Battle of the Nations. So, Bryce, why don't you tell us, when was your first Battle of the Nations? What was it like? How many fighters did you take? Talk about your experience.
Well, for me, my first Battle of the Nations was 2013 over in Aigues-Mortes in France, and we just had 5 fighters. We'd managed to get together in dribs and drabs, over the upcoming, 2 or 3 months. But once we got to France, that was the first time the whole team had met as a whole. So, as you'd expect, it's interesting trying to get that team dynamic and some training in when we're spread, 5,000 kilometers between each person pretty much. But yeah, so we got to France, and, that was the first time I'd really been overseas other than New Zealand, which doesn't really count for Australia. So yeah, it was a big learning experience just getting myself and my armor over there. Luckily, I had Sky coming along as well, one of our female captain, my partner, to help out. Yeah, got to France, got in there, and then kind of showed up at the event, and were immediately taken under the wing of the Austrian team, with Heinrich and Julia giving us a helping hand.
I just remember some interesting moments. Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting moments.
Yeah. I just while you asked me or invited me for this whole thing, I just searched for old pics. And I found some, even from Bryce and me, and it's good memories.
There it is. We can see some action from Aigues-Mortes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is our fight. Just looking back at the starting days and the difference in technique, and how much we didn't know, because we had no idea coming over here what to expect, really. None of us had been to Battle Nations. I'd been to a couple of small tournaments in New Zealand, but really they had no idea either. So yeah, looking back at the videos, we really had no clue what we're meant to be doing. I mean, even in this video here, towards the end of it, I wasn't really sure on the rules, and one of the fighters, he'd gone down and was sitting on top of one of our fighters, and I was sitting there with my falchion ready to strike him again, and just kind of glancing and in the middle of talking to the marshals, being like, is he down? Is he down? And obviously they're not speaking too good English, so I'm about to smack this guy in the face, even though technically he was down. I'm just hesitating, and yeah, it was interesting. Just doing our best.
Jonas, when was your first time at Battle of the Nations?
This one, in Aigues-Mortes as well, 2013. I just remember I couldn't go to Warsaw 2012 because I had to go and finish my school back in the days. I mean, it's been a while. Yeah. So I couldn't, and there was my first fight in Germany 1, and Adam, our former captain, just said, Jonas, you're fighting in the second round, and it's Russia. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, come on, no. I mean, I went in, and it's been over after 10 seconds. It was,
wow, okay.
Yeah, it was for me, there was the smallest one, and I said like, okay, maybe I can get this one. I mean, at least hold him for a second. Nah, no chance. He nearly just looked at me, and I fell to the ground. So. Over really fast, but it was stunning. I'm just reading one of the best emotions from the Battle of Nations. I mean, I think this was one of the best emotions, and the video we're now looking at, the 60 versus 60, the all versus all we had there. I think, in compared to the 150, this one was for us one of the best emotions because we never had such a nice mass fight before. We were so excited to see this, to feel this, and then there was dust all over. There was there are some pictures with one of the French fighters holding the Oriflamme, and there's dust everywhere, and the sun just lights through it. It was stunning. It's still one of the. I get goosebumps just talking about it. It was like.
Yeah, speaking of the dust. Speaking of the dust in this one, because this is before we Battle Nations, we started using that nice course stand that we usually fight on. I remember the first day we rocked up and the field was, a little bit of grass on there. It's like, oh yeah, this looks all right. I remember. And then with about 3 or 4 hours, it was just a dust bowl, just talcum powder, fine dust. I remember in this all versus all, at one stage I was in the front rank and I went down and about 5 people fell on my back, pinning my arms, pinning my head, and I thought, wow, this is like what some of the nights, back at Agincourt felt, because I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to suffocate just for being like face down. Obviously, dust instead of mud, but yeah, it was a bit intimidating at that stage.
Oh, you can see me.
Yeah, there we go. You can see how thick the dust was.
Yeah, this was one of the best experiences I've ever had. To be honest, really. I mean, there I am. In the middle, the yellow guy in the middle with a neck. Wow, this was stunning.
Yeah, this was amazing. I remember our team captain at the time, Kit, said to me beforehand, he's like, look, Bryce, one of the main goals of Australia coming over here this first year is just don't get injured, because, Australia is a very reactive to any sort of dangerous or new upcoming things. They like to put in place strange laws whenever someone gets hurt. So we didn't want to come back with any injuries from Battle Nations the first year. So one of our main goals was just don't get injured. Come back, safe and sound, enjoy it and learn from the experience. So coming into this fight, everyone was a little bit anxious about what was going to happen to me because the rest of the Australian team didn't follow me in.
It's this interesting point you make about the sort of how laws get made about certain things, restrictions get put on people. A number of countries actually were subject to this. In fact, there's a reason why you don't see the Russians use maces, because back in the day, before the time of Battle of the Nations, people used maces quite a lot because of the damage value. But because certain people, as I was told during a seminar, there were a number of injuries caused and they were outlawed. And this is for this reason you don't see the Russians use any maces, for those who would prefer to use them anyway. And I think every country has that kind of thing. I mean, the United Kingdom, for example, is really officious with these things. That I think the law would prefer us to run around with plastic yellow swords, to be quite honest.
Actually, down in Victoria, it's tricky for us because whenever we hold tournaments down there, their laws outlaw swords. So whenever we have tournaments, it's axe fest. Every single fighter uses an axe.
Right. Okay, that's so good. It's federal in Australia. It's not national.
So each individual state has their own restrictions. So 1 or 2 of our states are allowed maces, the rest completely outlawed. But yeah, Victoria's a special one because we can't use swords, so it's just every man and his axe.
Right. Sure thing. Okay.
Like, is it really you're forbidden to use swords, like law-wise?
Yeah. Yep. So swords, spears, technically, because spears have 2 edges, even if they're blunted, they're classed as daggers. So if you do have one, you need a license and you need to lock it in a safe. So you could have a 3-meter long pike, which technically needs to be locked in the safe.
Wow. Okay.
Big safe.
Okay. It's interesting.
How did you get into this sport in the first place, Bryce?
Random YouTube videos, honestly. So I've always done martial arts growing up, done MMA and jiu-jitsu. And I started doing some Viking reenactment once I moved out of home and turned 18. And then, just saw random videos on YouTube and it was like, that's me. That's what I want to devote my life to pretty much. So, through Facebook and social media, just asked around and found a couple of other interested people around Australia and started up with no idea what we were doing.
Sure. Nice. How about you, Jonas? When did you first get into it and how did that happen?
I'm doing medieval stuff and show fighting for 14 to 15 years now.
Oh.
And I was, you remember Panzerbear? He joined me like 13 years ago. And we were a bit bored back in the days of tippy-tappy and teaching each other. So we wanted something serious, young and squishy. We just found some videos and some groups online and they literally beat the beep out of each other. And we were like, yes, we want this. And then we found videos of Vyborg, I think, they in the castle where they 100 or 200 people just beating each other in this castle ground. It was like, wow. And then we met Mike, the former national captain of Germany back in the days, 2011, I think, 2010.
That was Mike Wedding, was it?
Yes, exactly. And then we talked with him and we said, like, okay, we have to build up a team, a whole German team. And then we started. So literally we started with 8 to 9 guys back in the days. And this was my first step. And then starting to fight in some cellars and omnious cellar parties, let me say it like this. And here I am now. It's great. When I think about it, it's quite interesting where we started with everything and where we are now with the whole sport and with the whole thing.
Sure. Are there any particular highlights that you've got at Battle of the Nations? Bryce, this one to you first. Are there any particular moments which were really, really special to you, which will stay with you for the rest of your days?
Just so many, so many. I can't even keep count. Just the different. I think the biggest ones really are some of the different friends I've met. So in this All versus Russia that we had towards the end of it, when the team started to thin out a little bit, we were fighting mostly against the Ukrainian side. I remember the Ukrainians just spread through the field and it was complete chaos and ended up facing off against a couple of them and just being pulverized essentially. And then my good friend Felix, who I met, was one of the ones pulverizing me. And he came up after the fight and he gave me his axe, which I've still got today.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
There it is. Excellent.
Not quite Battle of the Nations legal anymore with the rule changes, but it's an awesome memory to have. But yeah, that's one of the, I think my best memories is just all the different people I meet over there. We get into the list, we beat the snot out of each other, and then stand up, hug it out, and become excellent friends for the rest of our lives, really.
Fantastic. How about you, Jonas? Any particular moments?
I'm just thinking the whole time. To be honest, I can't. The whole thing, I think, to be really honest, the whole sport just formed part of my life. Changed my life and what I am now and how I am. It sounds a bit pathetic, but it is what it is. Igmord was fantastic. First time in my life meeting so many people from abroad at one time, hitting each other in the list and then hugging each other afterwards, drinking beer and other things without marks at the bottle, which my father always warned me, but it happens. Prague was cool, and for sure the 150 versus 150 was one of the most epic things I've ever witnessed. I couldn't fight the last year, but just to see it from behind was stunning for me.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things is meeting the people and getting in touch with so many nice people all around the world. And yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. One thing that it's a delicate subject, maybe shenanigans. The Australian team and the German team are both known for shenanigans, and this comes down to the historical camp. I do remember as I was wandering through the camp in Italy in Santa Severa, and I saw all of the German fighters congregated around one of the German team. Jonas, could you explain, because you know what I'm talking about, could you explain what exactly was happening there, please?
No, I can't.
Would you like me to help?
Is this stream FSK 18? You know, are we?
We're past the watersheds. It's past 8 o'clock in Central European time, so we're okay.
Okay. Well, you know, as we all know, Germany is quite free when it comes to body culture, and we have a thing called free body culture. Mm-hmm. People here like to be naked. I'm sorry. Which literally means on nearly each tournament, one or two guys are getting naked, and this is not in a sexual way. It's just like, and I think the thing you're talking about is we had in Santa Severa a huge tent with a huge pole in the middle. One of us is a, how should I say? He's a quite good dancer at poles, and he's willing to show that skills. When you include a lot of alcohol to a German, then he's able to do a special kind of stuff with his body. And we showed this kind of stuff to Gavin and to some other, I think, girls from Italy that were willing to watch this. Well, yeah. Things like these always happen in the German camps. That's true. It's true. Mostly it's naked. I'm so sorry for this, but what it is.
Okay, how about you, Bryce? Anything you can tell us? Any stories?
Well, I think probably the most famous one is Bill and his bananas. You know, I know there's some rather compromising photos of yourself, Gavin, with some bananas in the commentator booth. Floating around the internet. So for those who have been blessed by this, bananas are an excellent, you know, source of potassium and energy in the middle of fights. So Bill took this to heart and proceeded to generously donate bananas to, I think, the majority of the attendants at Battle of the Nations one year, in quite interesting circumstances.
He bought huge numbers of bananas as well, if I'm not wrong, and he just sort of gave them out because it was just this endless supply of bananas flying around.
Yeah, I think he went through a good 100, 200 bananas in that couple of days.
Of course, he started his own group there, that Bohemian Banana thing. That was great fun.
Yeah, it's now become a bit of a running joke. It's great.
And it's always good to see these little extra things that come out, and again, it's part of not only the atmosphere but more so the culture, which has sort of invented itself within Battle of the Nations. How important is it for you guys that there is that the camp where everybody stays together? I mean, okay, a lot of people, of course, for obvious reasons, they want to stay in houses, apartments, hotels, hostels, etc. But you've all stayed in the camp, and the historical camp of the event. How important is it for the event itself, and how important is it for your teams? Jonas?
I think for the most of my team, it is quite important. We like this. Santa Severa, for example, we had nearly 60 people hanging around at the camp from our team, so we had a lot of people coming with us. We always like to sleep in the camps and to do a lot of exercises in the camps. I think it's a really important thing. But on the other hand, due to the fact that the sport got more professional, people are more willing to go to hotels, to hostels, and have a good sleep, because the campsites are usually full of people partying, drinking, and it's sometimes quite loud. I think on the one hand it's good and it's important that sportsmen like to sleep well. On the other hand, it's a bit pity that, you know, the atmosphere gets a bit lost when people go to hotels. You know, it's not like, I don't want to say it's like, oh, you should not, and you're doing something bad. It's mostly like, I'm missing those days where everyone slept in their camps and did a tremendous party. That's it.
Sure thing. How about you, Bryce? What's your take on the historical camp and how it's changed?
Yeah, very much the same as Jonas. I absolutely adore the camp, and you know we've slept in the camp a couple of years. But as the fighters are getting much more professional, it is more common for guys now to use hotels, especially for Australia. We fly so far, and we only have limited luggage, that we can't bring a lot of those nice little camping, not necessarily necessities, but niceties to just make sleeping a little bit more comfortable. But I absolutely adore the camp. So whenever we get the chance, we'll stay back late after the fighting and just go back to the camp with the different countries, go see what the German team are up to in their tents of debauchery, I guess. But my biggest thing is trying to get into the camp on that final day for the after party. All the fighters very professional, at least for us, for the majority of the fighting. And then once the fighting's done, it's like boom, that's it. Let your hair down and party on, which was a little bit sad last year with the massive torrential downpour flooding out the fortress. At the end of last year, I was really looking forward to, because that's my opportunity to get in there. As a captain, I'm always flat out busy trying to run the team and administer things, round up, herd the cats. So yeah, that's my bit of an opportunity to meet all my friends. Really, is the after party. And last year when that torrential downpour came through and flooded half the fortress, it made it a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I still think it's a miracle we actually got that far to actually finish all the fights before the heavens came down on us. So it wiped out the award ceremony, of course, and then it could put a bit of a downer on the evening after party as well. And it was even similar the year before that in 2018 in Italy. It's not because of the downpour, but it just sort of logistically it didn't really happen. But I think a lot of people remember the Aussies having a good time in Barcelona after the last day of that. And I remember the Aussies. Anyway, going back to the idea of your captaincy, you are both the captains of your respective nations. Jonas, I was actually witness to your becoming the captain for the qualification tournament in Germany last year. Why did you want to become the captain, and how has it sort of changed for you? How do you find it as the captain?
As I said, I'm in the sport for, I think I can say, for quite a long time now. I've been always slightly a part of finding solutions or solving problems. I've been always at the spearhead of the organization whatsoever, but always in the background. I felt a bit too young in the past for this. But 2 years ago, or last year, don't remember, 2 years ago, when we had this last elimination, I felt it was time for doing it. I always wanted to, I think something in me wanted to do it. I wanted to be the captain, and at least I'm nearly knowing everyone that has something to say or to do something in the organization of Battle of Nations and all the other teams, so I can communicate with everyone. So it was time for me. Alex did it in the year before, which was really good because he's doing a great job when it comes to organization, which I have a lack of. I'm a disastrous, chaotic guy sometimes. I'm more into talking to people and blah, blah, blah. Hey, this is what I can do. So he's the organizer of things. It is what it is. Huh?
Absolutely.
But I felt like I wanted to do it. So I said, okay, guys, I want to do it. And then Tammy, who's willing to, how would you say, to confirm my election. And as you witnessed it, I think it was 100%. So here I am, which was quite nice. It was an honor for me. I mean, I think now I'm the youngest captain Germany had. It's cool.
Any surprises, any regrets that you've got from becoming captain?
No, to be honest, not. Serbia was a blast for me being a captain, because I got a lot more into the whole organization. I met new people I always wanted to meet, like the heroes of the sport I'm following now for 8 years. And I got the invitation for the Captain Summit, which was... yeah, you're laughing. Which was good, except this one day, but it was cool. No, I don't regret anything. It was awesome. I mean, I had some moments in Serbia where I wanted to just put my guys and take them underwater. Still, the bubbles don't come up anymore, but I didn't. I love them. I think it's one of the burden you have as a team captain, especially with young and wild guys like my team. So it's cool. No, I love my job. I love to be the national captain of Germany, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. How about you, Bryce? When was it you became captain, and why did you take that decision?
So I became captain, I think it would have been in 2015, the start of 2015. And really, it was the case of, we need a captain. Who wants to do it? So someone's got to stick their hand up. So I was the first one to just jump in. So we didn't necessarily have an election. It was someone has to do the job. Someone jump in front of that bullet. So yeah, that was me. And it's kind of been the same since. Everyone seems to be pretty happy with how I'm doing. So no one else wants to take over, which is absolutely fine by me, because personally I love being a captain. Like Jonas was saying, it's interesting trying to herd the cats once we get over there. I know, Jonas, you actually last Battle of the Nations weren't fighting, you were purely captaining, which I think is definitely a helpful way to do things. I know for myself, trying to captain my 5-man team, and then trying to captain the national team, and also trying to captain the Asia Pacific Alliance for the 30 versus 30 and the 150 versus 150. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. Very late nights organising things and running around the place everywhere. It's interesting, but I wouldn't give it up for the world, unless someone else,
we talked about it. If the captain should fight as well, and as we witnessed from the last years, it was always really difficult for the national captains to fight and to organize all the stuff. And so we said the national captain should not fight and organize. So this was the reason I just organized all the shit, which was good, because Serbia, we had to organize a lot of things, like 2 teams fighting at the same moment, then 150, then this, that, and 1 versus 1. So yeah, it was, I mean, it's pity to not fight, but I think it's better. So yeah, I see it as Bryce.
Just something which came up actually a couple of minutes ago on the in the questions on the live stream. Somebody asked about retirement age of fighting. We'll divide this into a few parts. First of all, I mean, in your national teams, who are the oldest fighters? I mean, what age? Not asking you to name names, but what is the highest age of fighter within your teams?
For Australia, I think we've got a few guys in their 50s, quite a lot of guys in their 40s that are still kicking along. Mm-hmm. But we've now got a lot of younger fighters up and coming. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we do have a couple in their 50s that are still kicking.
I think 50 is ours as well. We had one fighter who was 64, but he retired. Mm-hmm. So I know that one... Is it the father of the former captain from Spain? No name calling.
Oh yeah.
He was really old. I mean, for my age, I can't say someone is really old. He was really old. Mm. I think he was over 60.
I'm pretty sure one of the USA fighters. I think it might be their top polearm 1-1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think he's in his 60s. And he's an excellent fighter. He's just amazing.
Yeah, he is. But he looks old. I can say that.
Yeah. But that being said, it is still quite a young sport for Australia anyway. So we haven't been fighting for 20 years, because it is a rough sport on the body at times. So yeah, I've been doing it for 8 years now, but I'm still kicking along pretty good.
Sure. How about the recruitment of new people coming into the sport? I mean, is there a high recruitment? Is there low recruitment? How's that coming along?
I mean, regarding the question someone was asking, Gunjiro?
You what, sorry?
You mean regarding the question here, what are the codes in the team to join the team, or what?
No, not necessarily about that. I did see the question, but a more generic question about how many new members or new fighters do you get every year?
So for Australia, I know. Oh, sorry, I'll let Jonas go ahead first.
No, go.
Okay, I'll take. Australia is growing very, very rapidly. We're just constantly bringing in new members. We're now looking at starting to get some HME soft for under 18s coming along, which is going to be just perfect for bringing in new people into the sport, new kids into the sport. So as they grow up, then they transfer across into steel fighting. I reckon that's really going to be the future of the sport. But yeah, we're growing very, very quickly, especially Team Kraken down in Victoria. They have their own gym there dedicated to training, training pretty much every single day of the week. And their numbers are just skyrocketing. It's really admirable.
How about in Germany? What's the situation there?
I think it's nearly the same. To be honest, it's growing so fast. I do not even know the Bumbies. The Bumbies. We call the Bumbies the new ones. Sometimes, at new tournaments or at tournaments, I see new guys standing there and was like, "Who are you?" And they do not even know me. They are like, I do not. It's like an orc coming out of a mushroom, and then you put him into armor, and then he's like, "Go to this tournament." I do not know where they come from, but it's a lot. It's a lot. We're now raising two new teams. I'm helping out a team in North Rhine-Westphalia now to set a foot on the ground. It's great. It's cool. I love it.
Excellent. Just got a technical question coming through here. I'm not sure the exact point it's trying to capture here. How much time as a captain do you spend in the planning of a fight, which I suppose refers more to the sort of strategy of it? How long do you spend planning the fights that you have ahead of you? Bryce?
So for us, I'll try to watch as many of the fights leading up, especially if we're kind of in the last of our group. I'll try to watch the teams in our group and just see what sort of tactics and techniques they're using as much as I can while I'm running around trying to round my guys up. But really, we have our game plan that we practice a lot, a few different formations. And once we get into the fight, as they say, the best plan, rarely survives contact with the enemy. So pretty much, we'll have our initial plan down pat, and then from there, it breaks up, and it just becomes a case of everyone knowing what they should be doing, and your time in training really shows then. So there's only so much you can plan for the fight. For the larger fights that we had for the 30 versus 30 or the 150s, we devoted a significant amount of time, a lot of meetings, talking tactics, because really no one had a solid idea of how we were going to function together as a mass unit like that. So we did kind of sit around for quite a number of hours talking about how we would go through. So it really depends on the size of the fight and how much experience we have to draw from.
How about you, Jonas?
I'm just thinking about, there's a quote from one of those Asian ancient wise people with long beards, and he said a tactic is as long as good as you meet the enemy first time. But you know what I mean. I think you can nearly understand what I mean.
Sure.
For the fivers, usually no. In the past we did, but the times changed so hard, and if you ask me, there are no classes. Back in the days we said oh, you're a tank, you're a runner, you're a hard hitter, whatsoever. Those times are nearly over, so everyone has to do their own thing. But in the 30s and in the 150s, we talked a lot about this. I think this is necessary and really important to have a real tactic. But fivers, you can't really. a second before, when you're standing in the list and see like, oh wow, okay, 2 or 3 2-meter guys are just entering the list with halberds, and you say like, oh yeah, just send your small guys. This is the only thing we do then. Yeah, like a meat shield. Meat shields are important.
I do enjoy your philosophies and analogies, Jonas.
I know.
Going from what you said before about people coming out of mushrooms and then joining, and now you've gone to people with long beards. Analogy for Chinese philosophers. I love it. Brilliant. This is why you're here, Jonas. This is why you're here. Not only for the captaincy skills, not only for the fighting skills, but for your absolutely deft wordsmanship. Brilliant.
I know. Thank you very much. I get a ticket afterwards, I guess. Yeah.
You did actually get a comment from the White Company, saying that that we've got the dapper ones, and you are rapidly becoming the dapper fighter with your moustache and everything in your look. So well done for that. You're being fangirled, so that's good.
Thank you very much. This is
Anyway, back to business. How about the recruitment of the female categories? We have seen over the last few years the rapid growth of the female categories, not only in the 1 versus 1, but also now in the Behoorts. How is the interest? I mean, you both mentioned that there's quite a lot of development, new people coming all the time. Is that both male and female, or how is it? How is the recruitment with young females? Bryce?
Yeah, for Australia, we're still recruiting quite well with females. My partner, Sky, as I mentioned before, she's a captain of the female team. She's led the team to pretty good success for the last couple of years, even taking out a medal in Barcelona it was. So that was the first medal that Australia's earned at Battle of Nations. But yeah, each team around Australia has a good few female fighters. So we're starting to build up that good amount in Australia where we can start holding female tournaments. Still at the moment we do mixed gender tournaments, which I know a lot of countries don't. But as we build up the numbers more and more, we can now start to get specific female teams fighting together, which is really good.
How about in Germany? Of course, you've got decorated fighters in the past, of course, especially with the duelists. How is the recruitment for female fighters these days?
Difficult, to be honest. I think we have a really, really strong female team with the Blood Griffins. But the recruitment is difficult currently. Not that many women are willing to join. I do not know why. So currently, I can't say anything really nice. I'm sorry. I love. Yeah, what shall I say? I love the German team, and I love the women we have. They are brutal, and the last 3 tournaments I didn't count. I just drove there to help the Blood Griffins. For example, Netherlands. They fought amazing. I do not know why, but there are no women that are willing to join our teams currently. I can't say anything about this. I thought it would be a bit more this year or next year's, which is extremely sad. I do not know why. So currently, we need to have a Schlachtplan for this and to think about it. Yeah. Sorry for my bad answer about this.
No, that's perfectly okay. I mean, I'm now just looking for poetry from you for the rest of the evening.
Okay.
Well, still, as I mentioned before, the female categories. I'm speaking quite broadly about the women's categories. They've been there for a few years now. How do you see the development in the women's categories? I'm not talking just about the Behoorts, which of course has had, the most obvious growth, but indeed about the dual categories as well. How do you view that? What do you think it does for the sport as a whole, Bryce?
I across the board, the skill of all the female fighters is just growing in leaps and bounds as we get more and more fighters coming in, much more professional. So it really is great. In terms of the duels, I know they don't get as much love as the Bowhurt does. It's not as big and flashy and loud as the Bowhurt, but it really is still important, especially for the smaller countries who not necessarily able to commit to full-size Bowhurt teams. To be able to bring a good number of duelists and then a small team, it really is excellent because the sport is still growing. New countries are signing up every year. So having those dual categories, it really does help for that new country growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Jonas? How do you see it?
Yeah, the point is, I think it's not luring so many visitors because some parts of 1v1 are for those that are not, or other side, for those people that want to see blood and broken bones, it's not the coolest thing. But for those that are interested in real combat sport and in fighting and technique, it's awesome because some of the best fighters we have in the world, even in Buhut, come from 1v1. And for all three of us, we know those guys going in there and just killing each other. I love it. And I think the next step the Battle of Nations did with a pro fight is a great step because this attracts more people and because it's more what they want. This is closer to blood and broken bones as a normal point getting 1v1. I think it's cool. I love it. It's necessary because this is real chivalry sportsmanship, but it doesn't attract people. That's the point.
Sure thing. Excellent. Okay. Moving on to another area, which is sometimes overlooked. Support. Do you have a lot of fans? Do you have fans that follow you, that visit you? What's the situation, Bryce?
Oh, so fans that follow us. This is just excellent. This is so we've actually got our own elite cadre of fans living in England, but they're fans for the Australian team. It is fantastic. So some of the guys, they've flown out with us. We first met them in Barcelona in Spain, and they were just randomly walking past the arena when they saw it, and they're like, oh yeah, let's go check it out. And that turned into them cancelling their flights for the next 3 days and becoming pretty much dedicated support for the Australian team. And then the next year in Rome, they flew over specifically for Battle of Nations to get in the stands and cheer for us. And then once again last year in Serbia, I made sure they were rostered under the official support for the team, and they came across. They had T-shirts printed up, they had flags printed up, banners, things to wave around, and we had a solid, I think, 5-man cheer team up in the stands, and they were there from sun up to sundown every single day, just cheering on for our team, which was just phenomenal. It's just great. Every time you step into the list, you can hear these guys working the crowd up. It's just amazing.
Stunning.
Yeah, I have to say, a big shout out to Tim Smith and the guys there. They've, I bumped into Tim at Bloodstock when I was hosting another fighting event, and then he was wearing his Battle of the Nations T-shirt, and and he knew me, but I didn't know him. It was quite embarrassing, I've got to be honest. And he is the number one HMB fan. He's absolutely brilliant. And I think people should be envious of Australia to have such a hardcore fan. Because this guy, just to give you some background, he goes to every edition of Battle of the Nations. He's been to Bohut League events. He's gone all the way to Australia to see the guys. What can you say? The guy's just a legend. He's just brilliant.
He really is a legend. He flew all the way down to Australia, got him out here. He came to our last tournament at the end of last year, Thunderbolt Cup, and it's just fantastic having him on board. I love the guy. He's great. Yeah,
he's so full of life as well. When, of course, in Smederevo last year, I was doing some admin stuff beforehand, And somebody had set up a bar where there was near where the track was, and there were a couple of people propping up the bar there with just a box of cups of beer. And lo and behold, there was our man there, getting started early under the rain. He's such a dedicated fan. So, Tim, if you're watching this, thank you so much. And you're a great guy. Jonas, unfortunately, you do not have Tim Smith or the equivalent. But do you have a good fan base in Germany? Do you have people who follow the events, who write to you, keep in touch, visit your events?
Yeah, I think so. The Viking or early medieval scene in Germany, those, for example, we know for a couple of years now, especially Panzerbear and me, really following our streams and what we do, following the Eisenliga, for example. They always write us like, "Oh, Jonas, how was this? How was that?" And they asking questions. When will be the next Battle of Nations, whatsoever. So it's like a small fan base in the medieval scene, Mm-hmm. And we have 2 to 3 fans in Smedrevo, for example. There were 2 people coming from Dresden to Smedrevo. It's unbelievable. So they just visited us. They already had like Eisenliga shirts, and they were looking for us like, "Oh, somebody told me Jonas Freese must be here," like, blah, blah, blah. What the heck, yeah, some people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great to have that, and it does make a difference for to have these fans who follow and wear your T-shirts. I'm wearing the Eisenliga T-shirt here. Still waiting for my T-shirt from Team Australia, but I suppose I'll be waiting a while. Although I do sometimes get messages asking if they can use logos together with images of certain pieces of fruit.
Don't tell Bryce, but they don't have that nice T-shirts.
Hey.
Now, they've got a good design team. Anyway, okay. I'm going to move on to something which will start up some other questions. Okay, it's going to be the rapid fire quiz. Okay.
Okay.
So, guys, if you've got your pens and papers ready for this, I'll ask a question, and you have got 5 seconds to write your answer. Okay, or write what you think the correct answer is. This is going to test your knowledge of Battle of the Nations. So it is choose or lose time, guys.
I thought it was Dungeons and Dragons now. I already had my character bow and my Dwarven fighter here. It's like, oh.
I got my dice ready.
Yeah, I have everything here. What's going on?
Your participation so far has been absolutely fantastic. So we're going to see if I can sort of drag you down a notch, because you're doing such a good job in making me look bad. So that's how this has to work.
I mean, my preparation for this.
No preparation, based purely on what you know. And the reason for having such a short time to answer is so that you can't check, or there's no sort of phone a friend, ask the audience, nothing like that.
Yeah, you will see how fast I am. I have my command center here.
That's true.
I showed you already.
That's true. Yeah, German till the end. Okay, guys. Question number 1. How many registered fighters were there at Battle of the Nations 10 in Smederevo, Serbia? Boom.
800.
Bryce?
About 1,000.
Right, okay. It was 803. So, Jonas?
Damn it.
You got the first point. And the winner of this quiz will be awarded the Golden Halberd joke or something like that. I don't know. You're not playing for points here, just for reputation. So, Jonas, you've got a good start there with 800. There were 803 registered fighters at Battle of the Nations 10. That was, of course, a record. And another record was 40 countries, 4 of which were brand new, 1 of which was returning. Okay. Now, this one is, there's no way anybody's going to get this. You just forget it. It's just way too difficult. How many hashtags have there been for BOTNX, the Battle of the Nations 10. How many hashtags were there?
69.
As nice. As in, how many times that hashtag has been used?
Yep.
Oh, bloody hell. 5,000.
Jonas?
69. I have no idea.
Not quite. Okay. It did come up a few thousand times, but I have to be quite honest. I gave up after 3,000.
So what you're saying is I was closer, so I get that point.
Bryce is closer, so
it's okay.
You're all square here on the battle for the Golden Halberd. Okay, let's move on then. How many registered female fighters were there at Battle of the Nations in Smederevo? Okay, Bryce.
70.
Jonas?
120.
108.
Nice.
I'm close.
Someone's clearly better with numbers than me.
I'm closer.
Jonas edges in front. Again, that was a record for Battle of the Nations. So that was good news to see 108 in total female fighters who are registered. Next one. How many, this is a trick question, be careful here. How many registered female fighters were there in Battle of the Nations Aigues-Mortes in France in 2013? How many registered female fighters were there? Bryce?
I can't remember back that far, but none. I don't think we had any females. So I know Sky came over with me and did some training with the other girls over there, but I don't think we had any fighters.
Jonas?
At least one, because one hit me in the all versus all.
Was that Era? Probably Era.
It's actually 0 in this case. So Bryce, you were right there. There were no official categories at that point.
For sure, I missed the word official. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't say the word official, but I did say registered, and thereby being a trick question.
True.
So, once again, it is even. We are 2-2 in this. My goodness. Okay, come on, guys. We can do this. How many spectators in total attended Battle of the Nations 10 in Smederevo, Serbia? Okay, Bryce, hit me. What have you got? Give me a number.
Lots. Is lots a number? I'm pretty sure lots is a number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots is good, yeah.
The stands were packed. It was incredible to see. I'm just going to say 10,000, maybe, okay. Probably more, maybe.
Jonas?
23,000.
Total count for ticket sales were 19,861. By far the most successful Battle of the Nations we've ever had. And just to pause on that question before we continue with the next ones, how did it feel to be fighting in front of such a large crowd and such a lively crowd? Bryce?
It was incredible. I absolutely adored it. You know, looking up into the crowds and seeing every seat was full. Every standing spot was full. I don't think we could have fit any more people in there even if we had tried. It was amazing. Just seeing the support that Serbia put out for it. It was fantastic. The crowds also help in the fights to a certain extent, in the technical as well. There's been a number of times when, my back's been turned a bit out of position and I actually hear the crowd respond before someone's about to bail into the back of me. I can turn and get out of the way before that hit actually lands. So, it's an extra, few thousand sets of eyes on the field for me. As long as you can kind of keep that subliminally in the back of your head, you can use them sometimes.
Jonas, how about you?
I love it. You know that you know how I am, and you visited some tournaments of us already, and I love to stand in front of a crowd and to do the job I have to do, I love the audience, and it's cool. It's a fantastic feeling, and it's so nice that there's an audience willing to look at us hitting each other with blunt swords. It's fantastic. It's a great feeling, and it just pushes the sport so hard.
Excellent. Just going back, to Bryce, we did actually try to put more people in there, but for health and safety reasons, it was.
Everyone sits on top of the shoulders of the next person. We're good.
Exactly. We did have discussions about these things, about putting some boxes somewhere to get people to stand on, but it broke just about every health and safety law in Serbia. So we didn't do that. But yeah, it was, as you can even see in the scenes at the moment, that the grandstand there, the tribune is totally packed out. And on the last day, I mean, there were people all around the sides of it as well. It was just phenomenal. Okay, right. Now we're going to have the really serious questions, guys. So just a recap there. Jonas is just in front with 3-2.
I know.
How many? Of course you do. How many viewers followed the live stream of Battle of the Nations in Smederevo?
In total?
In total. Give us a number. Jonas, go first. Let's hear it.
4,300.
Bryce?
I know there was a massive following in China. Absolutely huge following coming out of China.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say 50,000. Big numbers. Let's throw those around. I don't know if it's right or not, but that's what I'm saying.
Then you
if
could
it wasn't
say
50,000,
40,000.
I'm going to say it should have been.
Okay, well, you guys are close. Pretty close. Apart from the fact that the Chinese stream had over 1 million. Lots is
Never. Come on. 1 million.
Because they started off with just a blog in Barcelona, and that was followed by more than 1 million people. So it's sort of it spread like wildfire, because as it turned out, people were sort of restreaming what was being streamed. So it was going out to just scores of people, and we couldn't comprehend it. And that was the decision we took to actually have the Chinese commentary as well, because it was just such a good idea. And it got such a big following, so that added to our numbers. And although there weren't the restreams because of the format that we used, we got incredible numbers from the Chinese following. The English following alone in Smederevo got up to 91,000. That's, of course, over all 4 days. And, of course, it involves people, if anybody logged in 3 times in the same day, then it counts for 3 views. So it's not like there was 91,000 people watching, but 91,000 registered views. We can't actually get the numbers of how many the exact number of people watching. But things that have grown really beyond our control, really. And it's so good to see that there's this enormous following that we get. The live stream's great. Is you get trolls there all the time, and they're great fun. And I get some great insults from them sometimes. Those are also fun. I go into my little corner and have a little cry. But anyway, okay. So you guys were pretty close there. You were only about Bryce was only 900.
It was a prize point. It's okay.
Was it still, point goes to me still.
Yeah, it goes to you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, was it 50,000 you said?
This is all that counts.
Exactly. Okay, that brings you up to 3-all. And guys, now the questions start getting really, really difficult. Okay, so there's 3 questions left. Which member of HMBIA staff climbed a wall to chase a banner thief around Arena Monumental in Barcelona? Jonas, who was it?
Could climb a wall. Oh. Adrian Wade, I don't know. There's the only one I can imagine who can climb a wall. He's tough. The other ones are always too fat to climb walls.
Okay, Bryce.
I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember. Was it Anton? Maybe. I don't remember.
Nobody gets the point there, guys. Not even close. Although, to be fair, Bryce was closer, because at least he did mention a member of HMB. So I'm going to give the point there to Bryce. The person was actually me. It was the only.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was the only exercise that I got the whole time because you didn't see it, but the other commentator and I were stuck in this tiny, tiny box in just pitch black the whole time with a computer screen in front of us. So there was no movement or anything. And I went down just to sort of stretch my legs, and I saw these kids trying to sort of steal one of the banners from over the railing. So I don't know what was going through my mind, but I thought the best thing to do would be to climb the wall and just chase after him. So it was really good. I got a nice bit of exercise there. And that was it. Yeah, so that was the banner story.
The real question was it an Australian that was trying to steal it? Because Aussies are pretty good at stealing banners, or attempting to.
Yes, it wasn't actually. It was some local kids.
All right. Likely story, but yeah.
All right, then. Okay. Next one. Interesting you should say that, Bryce, because the next one is, how many flags were stolen at Battle of the Nations in Italy?
Battle of Nation flags or country flags?
Any flags.
I'll go first with this one. I'll say 20.
Okay.
But lots is still a number.
50.
Okay, it was 18. And Bryce, you are so close to that figure. Maybe we should have a quick chat about. You seem to know a lot about it, mate.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Who these people were running around stealing flags. So if you'd like to discreetly return our property, or return our property, then
just because Australia was colonised by convicts doesn't mean we're all that way. Thank you very much.
We just borrowed it.
We just borrowed it. They'll come back.
Yeah.
But a couple of you do have quick hands with flags.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, no further questions on that one then. Okay, it was there had been an incident in Barcelona where a flag was taken, and we made a point of saying to people and teams, like, do not take any of the flags, they're our property, don't do it. And it was just I don't know why we said that, because it would just made an open invitation for people to take flags from the tribunes and everything. And yeah, the HMB flags, they went. And they just sort of disappeared like hotcakes. A few of them we found strewn across the floor on Monday morning. But the flags is always a regular investment that we have to make because they keep disappearing.
Yeah, speaking of flags in Barcelona, we almost had a bit of an incident with the Russian team and Australian teams.
You did?
Old Kamikaze Rob, as he earned the name from that.
Oh,
he climbed up on the
nice.
Don't
bring him into ice. I know about the incident. I wasn't going to mention it, but like you. Well,
I think it's worth mentioning because in the end there was nothing bad meant by it. So
yeah, of course.
Explain, a lot of people have heard of it, but there's a lot of rumors going around. So Rob climbed up, and there was just a small paper flag of the Russian team, just denoting that this was the area that was theirs. And so Rob thought, he's a massive fan of the Russian team, absolutely loves the Russian team. So he thought, the tournament's pretty much finished. I'll just grab this flag and I can put it up in the gym, and it'll be just a fantastic reminder, and for us to aspire to be like the skill of the Russian team. So he thought, it's just a little paper flag, it'll be fine. Climbs up there, and as he's pulling this flag down, the Russian team has come back in from the 21 versus 21. And as we all know, Russians are very, very protective of their nationality and their flags, and very patriotic. And they didn't take too kindly to seeing one of the Australian fighters pulling one of their flags down off the wall. So things escalated quite quickly. Luckily, no one was injured, but emotions were running higher then. So we had a good talk with the Russian captain with some translators, and I think we talked it down. But I do like to bring it up because nothing bad was meant. It was just Rob is such a massive fan of the Russian team. Yeah. So once again, sorry for any heartache caused by that, but nothing bad was meant.
Okay, then. Next question. And this actually, we now see Bryce in front for the first time. He's at up 4-3. So, Jonas, you might be able to bring this one back. Now, Team Germany is well known for the size of the flag. How big is it? Okay, let's hear it then. Jonas, the pressure's on you, man. It's your team.
I have no idea. Fuck. 5-4.
5x4?
Yeah.
Bryce?
I was going to say about 6x4.
I don't think any of you really deserve that because 6x4 is too much and 5x4 is never going to be the correct dimensions for a flag. I think that's wrong. Shame on
my
you,
team.
Jonas.
Don't tell my team. I have no idea, really.
It's a pity you don't know because I was rather hoping you knew because I don't have an answer for it either.
Wait, just 1 second. We figured
it
out.
wasn't just while you were getting this
Joker.
information from your ready German team. For years the Polish were the people who had the biggest flag, and then the Germans turned up. And I will actually add that Germans like everything to be big, and we're always for the last few years we've had to prepare ourselves for the request for space from the German team because every single time they ask for twice the amount of space in the historical camp that we actually allow people. So, we sort of groan when we have to send the request to the captain for space.
Yeah, we like,
Well, that's it, but it's within proportions, though. I mean, like the space you had at Santa Severa in Italy was gargantuan, but then again, you had a large flag as well, so you had to proportion these things.
It's not about that we as Germans like to, going big. It's mostly on. Wait, if I go on with the sentence, wouldn't be better. Yeah, we like big historic tents. Fuck. Okay, this is this can't go into a good direction. Yeah, we like to have a good camping site.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll leave that awkward silence where it is. We'll file that for a moment.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
And well, neither of you deserve a point there, which means that still Bryce is in the lead at 4-3 with one question to go. What percentage of Battle of the Nations Barcelona did Bryce Lightbody spend wearing shoes? Let's hear it, guys. What do you think? What do you think?
How many fights did you have, Bryce?
That is the real question, isn't it? Because that's pretty much the only time that I do wear shoes whenever I can help it. And I have fought in barefoot once before. It's terrifying. I wouldn't recommend it.
You fought barefoot?
Yeah, I got to a tournament before and forgot my shoes, as happens quite regularly.
In Bohertz?
So yeah, in Bohertz. So I just fought in barefoot. It's scary, especially. I mean, feet are in a legal target area. It's mostly fine.
All right, let's hear it then. Give us a number. What's the percentage then, Jonas? What do you think? How the percentage of time spent wearing shoes?
15.
Bryce?
I'll say about 5%.
It must have been about 10. Like, considering the fights, it must have been about 10. The thing is, like, the difficulty, however, is that there's sleeping time, and obviously he doesn't wear footwear either. But the thing is, Bryce actually became a bit of a legend from this. Even with the authenticity committee, I've got to tell this actually. The authenticity committee had made a point of ensuring that people were wearing historical footwear throughout the actual tournament itself, and Bryce said, "Well, is it all right if I have no footwear?" And authentically speaking, then you would be right. That there's nothing anybody can say against you. I mean, like you'd sort of win that one hands down by simply not wearing shoes. You resolve the problem of the authentic shoes. So you actually gained some admirers there in the authenticity committee. It has to be said, Bryce. Well done.
You can't go past Mark 1 foot. It's waterproof as well when it's raining. Don't need to worry about your shoes getting wet when you don't have shoes.
No, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I mean, your feet must be rock hard by now, to be fair. You're just not a shoe person, are you?
Nah, I like to call foot prisons, as I call them.
You like to call them what, sorry?
Foot prisons.
Foot prisons, right, okay.
I already heard that.
Which is tricky in Australia, you know, when there's been a number of times when the tarmac on the roads has been melting and I'm still walking barefoot. So there's been quite a number of times when I've had actually tarmac coated feet from just the melted roads sticking my feet. But that's pretty much like wearing shoes all the time because I just have bitumen soles.
But is it ever really, really cold in Australia?
Yeah, well, actually, we were wandering around through Romania after Battle of the Nations Serbia, and I was wandering around through the snow in barefoot as well. I was getting weird looks from the security guard at the event we were at.
You will get into prison in Germany for walking around here barefoot.
I was walking around Germany in barefoot in 2015. I also get a lot of bad looks from old nonnas as well, wandering through Italy in barefoot. They don't approve.
I think it's just not a common thing anymore. Huh? It's I could not even walk around on grass barefoot. You know, my feet are so soft and you know, like a baby ass, and I can't even walk on grass without hurting myself. I just want to add this.
You're just a delicate individual.
Yeah, awkward silence again. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys, we're gonna finish the quiz there. Thank you for your participation in that. I'd like to say that Bryce was slightly ahead on it, but there are no winners in my quizzes. So well done to Bryce on us. Okay, this also gets us to the end of tonight's interview session with these two fantastic guys, Jonas Freese, the captain of Team Germany, and Bryce Lightbody, the captain of Australia. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Greatly, greatly appreciated. What else can be said? I mean, best of luck with things, and you know, let's hope we get back to training as soon as possible. Really look forward to to seeing the tournaments again in Germany. Of course, I was supposed to go to the Way of Honor tournament in the beginning of April, but of course, due to coronavirus, it was not possible. So hopefully that will be rescheduled. Likewise, in Australia, we're looking to see more BotN League tournaments there. I think there's a good following for it now. Some great venues that we've seen from past events. It's going to be really, really exciting. And I know everybody is really keen to watch Team Germany and Team Australia back in action on the international circuit. Guys, any closing words that you have for the public this evening?
Bryce?
As my profile picture on Facebook says, stay at home and train so you can kick the butt of coronavirus and we can get back to fighting, because I'm getting real itchy to punch someone in the head.
Jonas, how about you? What do you got to say to people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much for this opportunity. I loved it. Really would appreciate to do it again with Bryce, for example. Thank you. Thanks to the community outside. Stay safe, stay warm, and hope to see you soon.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you so much. And we will see you once again next week. Follow the Battle of the Nations social media pages for updates of when the next and possibly the final total recall of Battle of the Nations will be held. Stay with us and thank you very much. Have a great evening and we'll see you soon. All the best, guys.
Ciao.
Cheers, everyone.